My son handed me a letter telling me to leave on the same day I made the last payment on the house I created with my own two hands 45 years ago. My name is Margaret Hayes and my big shot lawyer. Son just made the biggest mistake of his whole life. You see, Daniel thought his old caterer mother was poor. He believed I needed his help. So, he told me I had 30 days to pack my pots and leave for an old folks' home because he thinks I'm too broke and confused to stay in my own house. The house I planned. The house I built room by room. The house that's now worth $2.5 million. Daniel makes $350,000 every year, but thought I live on pennies. He drives a fancy BMW, but imagined I can't buy food. He called me someone who costs too much money in front of his wife's family. Rich folks who felt sorry for the poor old lady. But here's what Daniel doesn't understand. Quiet people know many secrets. Instead of fighting, I made 3 phone calls. One to my money helper about my $2.1 million in savings. One to my daughter about giving her the house papers. And one to my lawyer about the beach house in Florida I bought last year with cash money. The look on Daniel's face when he learned the truth, absolutely priceless. If you're watching this, hit that subscribe button and tell me where you're watching from, especially if someone ever thought less of you because of your job. This is the story of how a poor caterer taught her proud son that guessing wrong can cost more than just money. Let me show you how Daniel sees his old mother. October 15th, 2024. Daniel arrives in his BMW X7. That's a $1,180 monthly payment, by the way. I'm in the kitchen arranging my catering supplies. Same stainless steel pots I bought in 1978 when Rachel was born. Strong metal, made to last forever. Worth more as old treasures now than most people's monthly rent. Daniel walks in wearing a $3,800 designer suit. I'm in my kitchen clothes, cotton pants, simple blouse, maybe $35 total from Target. He looks around the kitchen like he walked into a broken store. We need to talk about all this old stuff taking up the kitchen. Old stuff. 45 years of equipment that helped create every meal in this house. And he calls them old stuff. These pots aren't old stuff, Daniel. They're my memories. He picks up my worn oven. Mitts. Fixed many times. Still work perfectly. Mom, look at these things. You can't keep living like this. Like what? Like a woman who knows that good things don't need replacing. That evening, Stephanie comes over for dinner. Daniel's wife, 31, works in advertising, carries a $7,500 designer. She sits at the dining table I made from special wood in 1985, touching the top with her painted nails like she's checking for dirt. Margaret, have you thought about getting a smaller place? Stephanie asks, looking at her phone. This huge house must cost so much for someone living on retirement money. Retirement money? She thinks I'm living on tiny government checks. Daniel agrees. Stephanie is right, Mom. The bills alone must be hurting your wallet. $24,000 every year. That's really hard on a caterer savings. I drink my tea from the same cup Rachel painted for me in art class. I'm doing fine, but that's the problem. You shouldn't have to just do fine. Stephanie says, nice places for older people can be really good. Temperature control, food made for you. Fun activities. Fun activities like I'm some lonely old lady who needs art time. Daniel leans closer. Mom, we've been thinking. This house is way too big for bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, that huge yard. When did you last use the extra bedrooms? Rachel uses one when she visits with her children. Once every month, Stephanie says. That's expensive. Space for a once-a-month visitor. I look around the room. Every piece of decoration, every shelf, every special touch, I put them there myself. The pretty border near the ceiling took me 4 weekends to finish. The tile floors, I laid them piece by piece in the summer of 1979. Your father and I raised 2 children. In this house, I say softly. Daniel's voice becomes a little softer. but his words stay the same. I know, Mom. That's exactly why we want to help you. Move to something better. Better means somewhere that won't make him feel bad when he brings work friends around. Stephanie looks at her phone. I've been looking at senior places. Golden Years Village has wonderful things, $5,800 every month. But Daniel and I could help. Pay for that. Help like giving money to someone who can't take care of themselves. I built this house in 1979. Say every screw, every board, every light. We know, Mom. Daniel says, but you're 68 now. It's time to let someone else worry about fixing things. They look at each other across my dining table. A look that says they already decided. They're not here to ask what I want. They're here to tell me their plan. We love you, Margaret. Stephanie says, finally looking at me. But you can't stay stuck in old times forever. Old times. 45 years of marriage, raising children, building something with my own. And that's just old times to them. I stand up and start picking up the plates. The same plates my husband James and I chose at the store in 1980. Nothing fancy, nothing that would impress Daniel's friends, but they've been used for thousands of family meals, birthday parties, homework time at this table. I'll think about it, I tell them. Daniel smiles like he just won. That's all we want, Mom. But as I watch his BMW leave down the driveway, I poured myself. I'm already thinking just not about what they expect me to think about. Let me tell you what's really important here. It's not just the house. It's 45 years of living. This kitchen. James and I planned every part during the winter of 1978. He wanted the window facing the backyard, so I could watch you kids play while cooking food. I put in that window myself, framed it with special wood I got from a tree that fell during the big storm. The height marks on the kitchen doorway show Daniel at age 5, then 7, then 10. Same spot where Rachel measured herself every birthday. Pencil marks on white paint, going up year by year. Daniel used to stand so happily against that wall, wearing his little soccer uniform, looking up at me like I was the strongest person in the world. Now he wants to erase all of that because it's easier for him. If I give up, if I just pack my bags and go to Golden Years Village like some old piece of furniture nobody wants, what am I really losing? First, I lose my freedom. At Golden Years Village, someone else chooses when I eat what I eat when the lights turn off. Someone else controls the temperature, picks the TV shows in the shared room, plans my day around their activities. I've been making my own choices for 68 years. I'm not ready to give that to a young activities person. Second, I lose my grandchildren. Rachel brings Tommy and Lil Jamie, named after their grandfather, over every few weekends. Tommy's 9. Loves hearing stories about how I built the house. I've been teaching him basic cooking in the kitchen. He made his first cake last month. His first real cooking project. Took him 3 tries to get it right, but he didn't give up. That's Hayes' family strength. Where's he going to learn that at Golden Years Village in the craft room making paper flowers? Third, I lose respect. Not just there's my own. If I let them push me around, if I let Daniel control me, because he's embarrassed by his working mother. What does that say about everything I believe in? I raised him to be strong, independent, good. Now he's using his success to push around the woman who gave up things to give him every chance. The money part is real, too, but they don't know it yet. This house is worth $2.5 million today. Similar houses nearby sell for $2.40 $40 to $2.90 million. Daniel and Stephanie see it as a problem. I see it as something that grew $1 300%. Since I bought the land for $48,000 in 1978, but here's what really keeps me awake at night. What happens to James's memory? He died 4 years ago. Heart problems. Fought them for 20 months with more bravery than anyone. His last weeks were spent in the master bedroom I finished for him in 1986. He wanted the special window that looks at his vegetable garden. I want to see my tomatoes, he'd say from the hospital bed. We moved in there. Daniel wants me to leave that room, pack up his clothes, his books, the chair where he spent many evenings. Just leave it all behind for some new family to change and make modern. Stephanie actually said I should sell everything. You could probably get good money for some of these old things, Margaret. Old things. James's wooden chest from our wedding became an old thing. If I don't fight this, if I don't stand up now, I'm not just giving up a house. I'm giving up who I am as a woman who makes things, fixes things, takes care of her family. I become exactly what Daniel thinks I already am. A helpless old lady who needs someone to manage her. But there's something Daniel doesn't understand about his old mother. I didn't spend 45 years running a catering business without learning how to plan ahead. And I can see exactly where his plan is going. He doesn't just want me out of the house. He wants me out of his way. Somewhere clean, easy, and forgettable. Somewhere that won't make his perfect life look complicated. That's not happening. Not without a fight. October 18th. Daniel calls and asks to come by for another talk. This time he brings papers. He sits across from me at the dining table, spreading out booklets like a salesman. Stephanie stands behind him, sometimes nodding at important points. Mom, I've done some looking. Daniel opens a shiny folder. Golden Years. Village has a spot. I told you I'd think about it. You've had 3 days. How much thinking does it take? I look at the booklet. Happy old people playing cards, doing pool exercises, painting pictures. Everyone's smiling like they found heaven in boring beige. Says here it's $5,800 every month. I say that's $69,600 every year. Daniel waves his hand. I told you we'd help with that. For how long? What do you mean? I mean, what happens when you get tired of paying? What happens if your job has problems? What happens when you decide that $69,600 could buy Stephanie a nice car instead? Stephanie gets stiff. Margaret, that's not fair, isn't it? You've known me for 4 years. In that time, when have I ever asked either of you for money? Daniel leans forward. Never. But that's exactly my point, Mom. You're too proud to ask for help when you need it. Who says I need help? Look around. Daniel points at the house. The rain gutters need cleaning. The front path has cracks. The fence paint is coming off. Smile. Son, those gutters were cleaned last weekend. The path cracks are filled with good sealant, and I'm waiting for nice weather to repaint the fence. Daniel blinks. You clean the gutters yourself. Who else would clean them? Mom, you're 68 years old. You shouldn't be climbing ladders. I've been climbing ladders since before you were born. I know how to do it safely. Stephanie pulls out her phone. Margaret, I hate to be mean, but taking care of a house this big isn't realistic at your age. What would you know about taking care of a home? Her face turns red. Excuse me, you rent an apartment. Downtown. Property people handle everything from light bulbs to grass cutting. When have you ever fixed a leaky sink or replaced broken tiles? Daniel's voice gets harder. Mom, this isn't about Stephanie's experience. This is about your safety and life quality. My life quality is fine, is it? When's the last time you spent time with people your own age? Sip my tea. Tuesday. Coffee with Linda Martinez at the craft store. 71. That's not the same thing. Why not? Because Daniel searches for words. Because you need organized activities. Professional watching. Professional watching. I repeat the word slowly. You mean supervision. I mean support. No, son. You mean control. The room goes quiet. Stephanie looks at Daniel like she's waiting for him to win this argument. Daniel pulls out another paper. Look, Mom, I've talked to some lawyers. If something happens to you, a fall, a health emergency, and you're here alone, there could be legal problems. Legal problems for the family. If you get hurt, and it comes out that we knew you were living dangerously. I set down my teacup. Are you threatening me? I'm protecting all of us by forcing me out of my own home, by helping you move to proper care before a crisis forces the choice. I stand up. Get out. Daniel looks really shocked. Mom, get out. Stephanie grabs her purse. Margaret, you're being unreasonable. Am I? My son just threatened legal action to force me into an old folks' home. That seems pretty unreasonable to me. Daniel's voice turns cold. Fine, have it your way. But when you fall off a ladder, or have a heart attack alone in this big house, don't expect us to clean up the mess. I won't. But Daniel gathers his papers. But understand something, Mom. This house will be sold eventually, whether you cooperate or not. What's that supposed to mean? Daniel straightens his tie. It means I'm your next of kin. Have power of attorney for medical choices. If a doctor says you're not thinking clearly, he doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. Stephanie smiles sweetly. We're trying to do this the easy way, Margaret, but there are other ways. They leave me standing in my dining room surrounded by 45 years of memories and the sudden understanding that this isn't about my welfare. This is about control. Daniel's BMW backs out of my driveway for the second time this week. But this time, I'm not thinking about what they want me to think about. I'm thinking about making some phone calls. After they leave, I sit in my chair, the same comfortable chair I bought when Daniel graduated college, and think about those phone calls. First call is to my daughter Rachel. She's working a long shift at Orange County Children's Hospital, but she picks up anyway. Mom, everything okay? Rachel, I need to ask you something. Just wondering. Oh, when you say just wondering, I know something's happening. What's Daniel done now? Smart girl. Hospital nurse, sees through nonsense for a living. Gets that from her father. If someone tried to force you out of your home, what would you do? Long pause. Mom, Daniel, I can't force you out of your house. You own it. Actually, sweetie, that's more complicated than you might think. What do you mean? I explained the power of attorney situation, the legal threats, Daniel's belief that I'm financially helpless. Rachel's voice gets tight. He said, what about legal problems? His exact words were, when you fall off a ladder or have a heart attack, don't expect us to clean up the mess. That son of a she catches herself. Sorry, Mom, but that's not okay. I need you to know something, Rachel. Whatever happens in the next few weeks, I want you to understand that I'm not helpless. I'm not broke, and I'm not going quietly. Mom, you're scaring me a little. What aren't you telling me? Nothing dangerous, but I've got some things Daniel doesn't know about. Thanks. We'll talk soon. But Rachel, how would you feel about getting this house instead of Daniel? Another long pause. Mom, are you okay? Really? I'm fine. Better than fine, but I want to know if you'd want it. The responsibility, the work, all of it. Mom, I love that house. Tommy and little Jamie love visiting there. But if you're thinking about changing your will because you're mad at Daniel, I'm not. Mel, sweetheart, I'm disappointed. There's a difference. Okay, we'll talk. This weekend. I'll come by Saturday morning. Bring the kids. We'll have breakfast in the kitchen. Mom, I love you. I love you too. Second call is to my old friend, Patricia Chun. Patricia and I go way back 38 years to be exact. She was fresh out of business college when we met at a small business seminar in 1986. I was just a caterer looking to learn about saving money. Patricia was starting her own money planning company. Funny how life works. While Daniel was growing up thinking his mom was just another working woman with tired hands, I was quietly building something else. Patricia helped me do it. Margaret, good to hear from you. How's retirement treating you? Complicated. Patricia, I need to ask you something. How quickly? Could you set up a meeting? What kind of meeting? The kind where we review my savings in front of witnesses. Patricia laughs. Someone's finally ready to stop being the best-kept secret in Orange County. Something like that. Who are the witnesses? Daniel and some business people he knows, maybe Stephanie's parents. The ones who don't know about. Your little nest egg. That's right. Patricia is quiet for a moment. Margaret, are you sure about this? Once. That secret's out. The secret's getting too big anyway. Time to let it out.
All right. When and where?
I'll let you know soon, Margaret. Whatever's going on, you. No, you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you've managed your money, right? I know, but sometimes people need to learn that guessing wrong can be expensive. Third call is to my lawyer, Susan Baker. She handled James's will, the house papers, all our legal work for 12 years. Margaret, what can I do for you? Susan, I want to know about giving property to Rachel.
Not when I die now.
That's a big decision. What's causing this? I explained the situation with Daniel. You see, Margaret, you understand that once you give away the property, you no longer own it, correct? Understand? And you trust Rachel completely more than I trust my son right now. All right, I'll prepare the papers, but Margaret, I'd recommend having a family meeting first.
Clear the air.
Oh, I'm planning on it. A very clear conversation. I hang up and look around my living room. The built-in shelves I installed in 1992.
The
decorative wall piece I made from special wood. Every detail carefully planned and done. Daniel thinks this house is just a building. Doesn't understand. It's a gift to the future. Time to teach him the difference. October 22nd. Daniel calls with an invitation that sounds more like an order. Mom, Stephanie's parents are in town. We're having dinner Thursday night. 7 o'clock. Stephanie's parents, Richard and Caroline Davis. He's in commercial property business. She's on the board of 3 charity groups. Thought you should meet them. Translation. He wants to show off his successful in-laws while showing why his mother is an embarrassment that needs managing. Where's this dinner happening place? Stephanie's cooking. Stephanie's
cooking.
From what I've seen, Stephanie's cooking means ordering from expensive restaurants and putting it on her fancy plates. All right. 7 o'clock. Mom, could you dress nicely? Maybe the blue sweater Rachel gave you for Christmas. I'll wear whatever I wear.
Okay. See you Thursday.
Thursday arrives. Cold and windy. Perfect weather for what I suspect will be a cold evening.
Dress.
In clean pants, a nice blouse, and my good shoes, the ones Daniel called embarrassing. I'm 68 years old. If that bothers anyone, that's their problem. Daniel's house downtown is what real estate people call modern luxury.
All
glass and metal angles, furniture that looks expensive and uncomfortable. The kind of place where you're afraid to touch anything because it might cost more than a car. Stephanie greets me at the door wearing a cocktail dress that probably cost more than my monthly food budget.
Margaret, come in.
Mom and Dad are excited to meet you. Richard Davis is exactly what I expected. 63 gray hair, handshake like he's making a deal. Caroline Davis is elegant in that carefully kept way that money makes possible. Perfect nails, jewelry that shines, smile that never quite reaches. Her eyes. Margaret Daniels told us so much about you. Richard's voice has that loud quality rich people use when they're being nice to workers. Nice to meet you both. Caroline looks around the living room like she's checking its value. Stephanie, your home is absolutely beautiful. This must have
cost, Mom.
Stephanie cuts her off with a look. Daniel appears with drinks.
Wine.
For everyone except me. I get juice like that's all I'm grown up enough to handle. So, Margaret. Richard settles into an expensive chair. Daniel tells me you're retired. What did you do?
Caterer.
Oh, how honest work. Caroline's smile becomes more forced. Must have been difficult, all that physical work. I liked it. Did you specialize weddings? Parties? Richard asked. Everything mostly cooked for events from small to
big.
Well, that's practical. Daniel jumps in. Mom's very good at what she
does.
She catered her whole neighborhood for years. The way he says good at what she does makes it sound like a cute hobby rather than a skilled job. Really? Caroline looks interested for the first
time.
What neighborhood? The interest disappears. One of the older parts, I'm sure. 1979. Richard nods like that. Explains. Everything. Those simple houses from the 70s. Basic building, but they worked. Simple houses. 45 years of custom work. And he calls it basic building. Actually, I say quietly, it's not a simple house. I designed and built it myself. Custom everything. How nice. Caroline says in the tone people use with children showing off finger paintings. During dinner, the conversation flows around me like I'm furniture. Richard talks about his latest project, luxury condos in Miami Beach, $2.5 million starting price. Caroline mentions the charity event that raised $350,000 for children's programs. Daniel discusses his law firm's growth plans, quarterly goals, new partners. I eat my fish and listen. Daniel Richard says,
Cutting his steak.
Stephanie mentioned you're helping your mother with some living situation changes. Daniel glances at me. Mom's getting to the age where the big house is becoming too much.
Smart.
Thinking, Caroline. My mother waited too long to downsize. Fell down the stairs at 79. Surgery, 5 months of recovery could have been prevented. Exactly. Stephanie says, we found a lovely senior place. Which one? Richard asked. Golden Years Village. Very well known. Oh yes, I know. Golden Years Village.
We
Considered it for Richard's mother. The waiting list is quite long. Daniel straightens proudly. We were able to get a spot. How fortunate. Those places aren't cheap. We're helping with the
costs.
Daniel says, helping like I'm a charity. Caroline turns to me with big sympathy. Margaret, you must be so grateful to have such a successful son. Not everyone is lucky enough to have children who can afford to help. I set down my fork. Actually, Caroline, I'm quite capable of paying my own way. Table goes quiet. Of course, Richard says carefully. Daniel just meant I know what Daniel meant. He meant I'm a money problem who needs managing. A poor old caterer who can't afford her own home. Daniel's face turns red. That's not, isn't it? You've spent this entire dinner introducing me as the food lady to these nice people. Making excuses for my clothes, my education, my house. Explaining how you have to help poor old mom because caterers don't make real money. Stephanie looks embarrassed. Margaret, I don't think anyone meant let me ask you something, Richard. What do you think this house is worth? Richard glances around. Daniel and Stephanie's
House.
Well, in this market, probably $1.70 to $210 million. And what do you think my little simple house in Old Irvine is worth? Uncomfortable silence. Honestly, maybe $750,000. The older neighborhoods in Irvine aren't. $2.5 million. Another silence deeper this time. I'm sorry. Caroline says, my house current market value is $2.5 million. Similar sales in my neighborhood range from $2.40 to $2.90 million. Daniel stares at me. Mom, how do you know that? Same way you know your law firm reports. Son, pay attention. The dinner. Conversation dies there. Richard and Caroline exchange glances. Stephanie suddenly becomes very interested in her wine glass. Daniel looks like he's trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. They stand up. Thank you for dinner. It was educational. As I head for the door, I hear Richard whisper to Daniel.
I
Thought you said she needed financial help. Thought she did. Daniel whispers back. Interesting guesses, son.
but
Guessing wrong can be expensive. October 24th. Daniel calls in the morning, voice tight, with something between confusion and anger. Mom, we need to talk about what you said at dinner. What about it?
the
House value. Where did you get that number? Real estate websites, public records, market checking. Same places. Anyone gets property values. But Mom, you don't. I mean, you've never been interested in what? In money, in investments, in understanding what I own. Long pause.
Can we meet?
I'd like to bring Patricia Chun. She's our financial person. Maybe she can help explain some things. Patricia Chun. Different Patricia Chun than my Patricia Chun, but the coincidence makes me smile. Your place or mine? Actually, I was thinking dinner somewhere nice. I'm hosting some potential clients tonight anyway.
Bella Vista in downtown 7:30. He
Wants witnesses.
perfect. Doi.
I'll be there. And Mom maybe dress appropriately. I'll wear what I always wear. Daniel Bella Vista buzzes with the kind of controlled energy that expensive restaurants have. Daniel has reserved a corner table large enough for people. He's already there when I arrive along with Stephanie, their financial person, Patricia Chun, mid-40s, nervous energy, expensive suit, and 3 people I don't recognize. Mom, you look. Daniel searches for words as I approach in my clean pants and nice blouse like myself. I finish for him. He introduces the strangers. Jessica Park from Metro Investment Group, Michael Torres from Elite Development, and Lisa Anderson from Capital Coast. All potential clients for his law firm services. Daniel has clearly positioned me as the odd mother he's managing out of family duty. Margaret is my mother, Daniel explains to his guests. Retired caterer, built her own house back in the 70s. We've been helping her transition to more appropriate living arrangements. More appropriate. There's that phrase. Again, that's admirable. Michael Torres says, elder care is such a challenge. Elder care like I need help walking and eating. Daniel signals the waiter. Mom, what would you like to drink?
He's fine.
Of course. Tea for the working mom.
Wine.
For the sophisticated business people. So Margaret Jessica Park asks politely, what was it like building your own house? Amazing. You design exactly what you want, then make it real. Must have. Saved a lot of money doing the work yourself. Lisa Anderson adds some, but mostly I wanted it done right. Daniel jumps in. Mom's always been very hands-on, very practical approach to things. Practical code for not sophisticated. The conversation flows around real estate markets, development, opportunities, investment strategies. I listen and eat my salad while Daniel's guests discuss million-dollar projects like other people discuss grocery shopping. Then something interesting happens. A woman approaches our table. Mid-50s, well-dressed, confident. Presence. Daniel looks up confused. Excuse me, the woman says, looking directly at me. Are you Margaret Hayes? Every head at the table turns. Daniel's expression shifts from confusion to worry. Patricia Chun, Summit Wealth Planning. I got your message about meeting tonight. Sorry I'm late.
Traffic
Was terrible coming down from LA. The table goes dead silent. Daniel's Patricia Chun, the financial person. Looks like someone just told her diploma was fake. My Patricia Chun extends her
hand.
Margaret, good to see you. Shall we discuss your portfolio changes, or would you prefer to schedule another time? I shake her hand. Actually, Patricia, this might be perfect timing.
My son.
Daniel here has been worried about my financial situation. Maybe you could help explain things for him. Daniel's face has gone pale. Mom, what's going on? Patricia Chun pulls out a leather folder. Well, let me see. Mrs. Pays as of yesterday's close.
Your
Investment account stands at $2,145,780. Your Florida property is currently valued at $1.7 million. Though with the recent similar sales in that area, we might want to check upward. Your stock positions in Amazon, Google, and Tesla are doing well. Total value around $390,000.
You could hear a pin drop in this.
Restaurant. Michael Torres stares. Did she just say $2.1 million? Patricia
Nods.
That's just the liquid investments. The Florida property is separate. Beautiful beach house by the
way.
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Amazing view.
Mrs. Hayes bought it last
year as a retirement place. Stephanie's wine glass freezes halfway to her lips. Florida property. Daniel finds his voice, though it sounds strangled.
Ush. What is she talking about?
I lean back in my chair. Remember when you asked how I knew my house value? I told you I pay attention. Well, I've been paying attention to a lot of things for a long time. Patricia continues. The quarterly payments alone from your portfolio should cover most living expenses, and with the Florida property growing about 7% every year, you're in excellent shape for long-term financial independence. Jessica Park looks fascinated. How did you save that kind of wealth on a cater salary? Same way anyone saves.
Wealth.
I say live below your means. Invest consistently, compound interest.
Time.
I started buying investment funds in 1983. Put away $150 a month, then $350, then more as I could afford it. Bought the Florida place when prices dropped in 2023. Daniel's business people are looking at him strangely now.
Lisa.
Anderson asks, Daniel, didn't you say your mother needed financial help? Daniel opens and closes his mouth like a fish out of water. Stephanie speaks up. But Margaret, you live so simply. I live within my means. There's a difference. Patricia Chun checks her watch. Margaret, shall we discuss the property transfer you mentioned? The house papers. For Rachel. Now Daniel looks completely lost. Property transfer. Your mother is giving the Irvine house to Rachel, Patricia explains. Smart move, actually. Removes it from potential future complications. And Rachel's a responsible heir. The silence stretches until Michael Torres breaks it. So you're not moving to a senior home. Golden Years Village. No, I'm moving to Florida. Beach view. Morning walks on the sand. Maybe do some volunteer cooking work for community programs. Daniel's potential clients are looking at him with expressions ranging from confusion to something approaching respect, but not for Daniel.
Jessica.
Park extends her hand to me. Mrs. Hayes, I have to say your long-term financial planning is impressive.
Thank you.
Daniel sits there, his entire story crumbling. Poor mother who needed managing, the financial burden, the embarrassing working background, all lies he told himself and others. Patricia Chun closes her folder. Margaret, everything's set for the transfer. Rachel just needs to sign the final papers.
Perfect.
Daniel, any questions about my financial situation? Daniel looks around the table at his potential clients, at Stephanie, at the financial person whose services he apparently doesn't need. Mom, why didn't you tell me? Tell you what about the money, the investments, the Florida
house?
Consider this. When would I have told you? When you called me a financial burden, when you threatened to have me declared not thinking clearly, when you introduced me to these nice people as the food lady you're helping. The restaurant continues buzzing around us. But our table exists in its own bubble of silence. Never guess anything about anyone, I say quietly, especially about the woman who taught you how to tie your shoes. I stand up, leave money on the table for my meal, and walk out behind. May I hear? Jessica Park asked Daniel. So when you said you were helping with elder care, I don't stay to hear. Daniel's answer. I think I already know what it is. Friday morning. I wake up in my own house for what I know will be one of the last times. Strange feeling knowing you're about to give away something you built with your own hands. But sometimes the best way to protect something is to make sure it goes to someone who understands its value. My phone's been ringing all morning. Daniel called 7 times, Stephanie 3
times.
I let them all go to voicemail. At 9 a.m. sharp, Susan Baker arrives with the transfer papers. She's followed 20 minutes later by Rachel, who comes straight from her night shift at the hospital, still wearing her nurse uniform. Mom, are you absolutely sure about this? We sit at the kitchen table where Daniel delivered his ultimatum 6 days ago. Feels like a lifetime. Rachel, do you love this house? Of course I do. This is where I learned to bake cookies. Where Dad taught me to plant flowers. Where you helped me with science homework every night for 3 years.
Do you
Want your children to have those same memories? Yes, but then yes, I'm sure. Susan spreads the papers across the table. This is a property deed transferring full ownership of the house from Margaret Hayes to Rachel Hayes. Miller. Rachel, once you sign this, the house is yours. All rights, responsibilities, bills, everything. Rachel picks up the pen, then stops. Mom, what about Daniel? He's going to be so angry. Daniel made his position
clear.
He wants me out in 30 days. I'm giving him what he asked for, but the inheritance. What inheritance? He told me this house was a problem. He called it inappropriate for someone my age. He wanted me in Golden Years Village where I wouldn't embarrass him anymore. Susan points to signature lines. Rachel, you'll need to sign here, here, and here. Margaret, you sign here. I sign my name. Margaret Hayes. The same signature.
That's
Been on this deed for 45 years. But this time it means something
different.
This time it means Daniel doesn't get to control the story anymore. Rachel signs carefully like she's handling something precious, which she is.
Done.
Susan says, I'll file these at the county office this afternoon. Rachel, congratulations. You now own a $2.5 million piece of Orange County real estate. Mom, where will you live? Smile. Remember Patricia? My financial person? She helped me buy a place in Florida last year. 3 bedrooms, beach view. I was saving it as a surprise for family vacations.
Now.
It's my new home. Rachel hugs me. Mom, I don't know what to say. Say you'll take care of this place. Say you'll teach Tommy and Jamie about the pretty border in the living room, about the tile floors I laid by hand, about the dining table I made from special wood. I will. But Mom, what about Daniel? Before I can answer, we hear Daniel's BMW in the driveway, then his key in the front door. Mom, your car's here, but you're not answering your phone. He walks into the kitchen and stops dead when he sees the papers spread across the table. What's going on, Daniel? Say calmly. Meet the new owner of this house. His eyes move from the papers to Rachel to
me. What?
Susan gathers the papers. Mrs. Hayes has transferred ownership of this property to your sister. Everything's legal and filed. Daniel's face goes through several colors. Mom, you can't do this.
Done. But this is my
inheritance. Was your inheritance? Past tense. Stephanie appears in the doorway. Behind Daniel, takes one look at the scene, and immediately understands what's happened. Margaret, this is crazy. You can't just give away the family home.
I did.
It's Rachel's house.
Now.
Daniel slams his hand on the table. This is because of dinner last night, isn't it? You're punishing me because I was embarrassed. Embarrassed of what?
Exactly?
You know what? The way you dressed, the things you said. I told the truth about my house value, about my financial situation, about your guesses. Daniel starts pacing.
Okay, fine.
You have money more than I knew, but that doesn't change anything. You still shouldn't be living alone in this big
house.
You're right. I shouldn't. That's why I'm moving to Florida. Florida. Rachel stands up. Daniel, Mom owns a house in Florida beachfront. She bought it last year. Daniel stares at me like I've grown a second head.
You bought a
place in Florida. $1.7 million cash purchase. It's smaller, more manageable. Perfect for my needs. Stephanie sits down heavily. So you never needed our
help.
You never needed Golden Years Village. Daniel's voice gets louder. Then why did you let us go through all that? The senior home research, the financial planning, the worry. I didn't let you do anything. You guessed I was broke and helpless. You never asked about my financial situation. You just decided I was a burden and started making plans to manage me. We were trying to help.
You were trying to
control. There's a difference. Rachel steps between us.
Daniel, enough. Mom
has every right to give her property to whoever she chooses. This is ridiculous. Rachel, you can't just take the family home. I'm not taking anything. Mom is giving it to me because I respect what
It means.
You saw it as a burden. Daniel turns to me. Mom, if I was wrong about the money, if I misunderstood your situation, I'm sorry, but we can fix this. We can tear up those papers.
The
Papers are already filed, Daniel.
Susan nods.
Property transfers are permanent. This house belongs to Rachel now. Daniel looks desperate. Mom, please. This is our family home. Yes, it is. And now it stays in the family with someone who values it. Stephanie stands up. Come on, Daniel. There's nothing more to discuss here. But Daniel doesn't move. Mom, I don't understand. Why didn't you just tell me you had money? I look at my son, 43 years old, successful, educated, and still not understanding the most basic thing. 'Cause son, you never asked. You saw kitchen aprons and simple clothes and decided you knew everything about me. You saw a retired caterer and thought, poor old lady. You never asked about my investments, my plans, my abilities. You just guessed. Daniel's shoulders slump. So, this is it. You're just leaving.
I'm
Moving to Florida. You know where to find me if you want to visit. And Rachel gets everything. Rachel gets the house. You get what you asked for. Me out of your way in 30 days. I stand up and extend my hand to Susan. Thank you for handling this so quickly. My pleasure, Margaret. Congratulations on your new home. Daniel and Stephanie leave without another word. I hear the BMW back out of the driveway one final time. Rachel and I sit in the quiet kitchen. Sunlight streams through the window I installed 43 years ago, warming the wooden table where I've eaten thousands of meals. Mom, are you okay?
I'm fine, sweetheart.
Better than fine. Will Daniel forgive you? That's up to Daniel, but Rachel, remember this. Never let anyone make you feel small because they're too lazy to look deeper. She squeezes my hand.
I
Love you, Mom. I love you, too. Now, want to see pictures of your new beach house? The problems start Monday morning. Rachel calls me at 7 a.m. Mom. Daniel's been calling me all weekend.
He
Wants to fight the transfer. On what grounds?
claims you were forced that.
You're not mentally able to make major financial decisions. I almost laugh.
The
Same man who just discovered I've been successfully managing a $2.1 million portfolio for 20 years thinks I'm mentally unable. His lawyer's name is James Mitchell. Apparently, he works on elder law cases. James Mitchell. I know that name. His firm handled a case against a caterer friend of mine 6 years ago. Mean expensive and not particularly honest. Rachel, don't worry about it. Susan Baker anticipated this possibility. What do you mean? I had a complete mental ability evaluation done last Wednesday. Dr. Emily Rodriguez, certified geriatric psychiatrist, scored perfect on every test. The documentation is already filed with the county. You planned for this, sweetheart. When you've been running a catering business for 45 years, you learn to see problems before they happen. But Daniel's legal threats are just the beginning. Tuesday, Patricia Chin calls with interesting news. Margaret, I thought you should know. Daniel contacted our office yesterday asking for details about your accounts. What kind of details? Everything. Account balances, transaction history, investment strategy. When I explained client privacy, he got quite upset. Upset how? He threatened to file a complaint with financial regulators. Claims you're being taken advantage of by dishonest financial people. This time I do laugh. Patricia, you've been managing money for 38 years. Your reputation is spotless. That's what I told him. But Margaret, he's clearly not taking this well. Wednesday brings more problems. Rachel calls during her lunch break. Mom, you won't believe what happened. Daniel showed up at the hospital this morning. At your work, he cornered me in the nurse's lounge. Said he wanted to make me an offer. What kind of offer? He'll pay me $3.0 million for the house. Cash, immediate closing. That's more than it's worth. When I told him it wasn't for sale, he got angry. Started talking about family loyalty, about how I was taking advantage of your mental decline in front of your colleagues. Nurse Rodriguez was there. Nurse Kim, 3 doctors. It was embarrassing.
I'm
Sorry, sweetheart. The worst part, he kept calling you confused and easily manipulated, like you're some confused old lady who doesn't know what she's doing. What did you tell him? I told him that if anyone's confused, it's the son, who never bothered to learn about his mother's financial situation before guessing she was broke. Thursday brings the most interesting development yet. Stephanie calls. Not Daniel. Stephanie. Margaret, we need to talk about what? About Daniel. About what the situation is doing to him. What situation? You know what situation?
He's not sleeping. He's not eating right. He's obsessed
with proving you're not able. Stephanie, your husband spent years guessing I was a financial burden. Now he's upset because his guesses were wrong. That's his problem to solve. But Margaret, you have to understand Daniel's business relationships are being affected. Now, this gets interesting. How so? After that dinner at Bella Vista, word got around about your money, about the things Daniel said about needing to help you financially. And Jessica Park pulled out of a potential partnership.
Said she
couldn't work with someone who doesn't even know his own mother's financial situation. I sip my coffee and let this
sink in.
Daniel's guesses aren't just embarrassing anymore. They're expensive. Michael Torres canceled a consulting contract. Stephanie continues. He said Daniel's family management issues raised questions about his judgment.
You see, Margaret, Daniel lost
a $160,000 deal this week. His reputation is being damaged by what?
By
the truth. By the perception that he doesn't know what's going on in his own family. Stephanie, whose fault is that?
Perception?
Long pause. I know you're angry. I'm not angry.
I'm disappointed.
Daniel made guesses about me, treated me like a burden, and threatened legal action to force me into a senior home. Those were his choices, but the problems are his to deal with. Friday afternoon, Rachel brings the kids over to see the house one more time before I officially moved to Florida. Tommy, 9 years old, runs through every room like he's saving them in his memory. Little Jamie, 6, insists on sitting in the kitchen where Grandma Margaret makes pancakes. Grandma, why did Daddy Daniel get so mad? About the house? Tommy asks during our walk through the kitchen. Sometimes adults make guesses about things they don't understand, I tell him. Your Daddy Daniel thought I couldn't take care of myself anymore. But you take care of everybody, Tommy says with 9-year-old logic. That's right, buddy. Saturday morning, Daniel shows up one final time.
No Stephanie, no lawyers, no witnesses.
Just my son looking older than his 43
years.
Mom, can we talk? We can always talk. We sit on the front porch I built in 1983. Same porch where I taught him to ride a scooter, where he practiced throwing a ball, where we used to sit on summer evenings and talk about his day. I lost the park account, he says quietly. I'm sorry to hear that.
They
said they couldn't trust someone who doesn't know his own family. I don't respond. Mom, I know I handled this
badly.
I know I made guesses. Yes, you did. But did it have to cost me everything? My relationship with you, my business, reputation, the family house. I look at my son, successful, educated, driven, and see something I haven't seen in years. Vulnerability. Daniel, what did you think was going to happen? You threatened to have me declared not thinking clearly. You talked about me like I was a burden. You planned to put me in a senior home without ever asking what I wanted. I thought I was helping. No, you thought you were managing. There's a difference. Daniel stares at his hands. So what now? Do we ever fix this? That depends on whether you can learn to see me as your mother, instead of a problem to be solved. Daniel nods slowly. Like to try. You know where to find me. As his BMW disappears down the street for the last time, I realize something. Daniel didn't lose everything this week. He lost his guesses. What he does with that knowledge is up to him. But the house stays with someone who understands that homes aren't just investments. They're gifts to the future, and gifts are earned through respect, not inherited through guessing. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting on my deck in Florida, watching the Atlantic Ocean stretch endlessly toward the horizon. Coffee tastes better when you're drinking it 40 feet from crashing.
Waves.
My phone rings. It's Rachel.
Mom, guess.
Who's learning to use the dining table? Both kids. I'm teaching them to make cookies the way you taught me. Tommy says the workspace is perfectly designed. Smile. That's because it is.
I
Measured Dad's your height, and calculated the best counter space for food prep.
He's also fascinated by your
Equipment organization in the kitchen. Wants to know why every pot has its own specific place. Because organization is efficiency. Efficiency is respect for the work. Mom, I think you have a future. Apprentice. Through my window, I can see a neighbor working on her garden. Older. Woman, maybe my age, struggling with a broken fence. I make a mental note to introduce myself later. Maybe offer some help. Rachel, how are you settling into home ownership? It's wonderful and scary. Yesterday, I had to call an electrician for a broken switch. Cost me $240 for something that took him 15 minutes. Next time, call me. I can walk you through most repairs over the phone. Mom, you're in Florida. I can't ask you to drive down every time something
breaks.
Sweetheart, part of owning that house is understanding how it works. I'll teach you basic fixing Tommy too if he's interested. He's definitely interested. He asked if we could build something together next weekend.
What?
Does he want to build? Play fort in the backyard. I set down my coffee cup. James and I planned that backyard specifically for a future play area when we landscaped it in 1987. Took 37 years. But the plan's finally coming together. Tell Tommy I'll be there Saturday morning, 8 a.m. sharp. We'll need wood, hardware, and a solid foundation design.
Mom, you don't have to.
Rachel, I want to. That backyard has been waiting for a play fort since before you were born. After we hang up, I walk down to the beach. Florida mornings are something special. Clean air, endless sky, waves that sound like they're washing away yesterday's problems. My phone buzzes with a text message. Daniel, Mom saw an article about community kitchen needing volunteer cooks. Thought you might be interested. It's the first contact we've had since our conversation on the front porch 2 weeks ago. Simple, respectful, no demands or guesses. Text. Back. Thanks. Already signed up. First project starts Monday. He responds. Immediately. That's great.
Would love to hear about it sometime.
Call me next. Weekend after 6 p.m. I will.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too, son. Small steps, but they're steps in the right direction. Monday morning, I report to the community kitchen project site in
Thumpa.
The coordinator, Maria Santos, is a no-nonsense woman who appreciates volunteers who actually know which end of the spoon to hold. Margaret, we've got meal prep that needs an experienced.
D.
Think you can handle it? I've been handling meal prep since 1979. The family we're cooking for is young. Carlos and Anna Martinez, both teachers. 3 small children. They remind me of James and myself 40 years ago. Full of dreams and determination, but short on resources. Mrs. Hayes, Carlos says. During lunch break, Maria tells us you ran your own catering business. I did. What advice would you give to new parents? I think about this question about Daniel and his guesses about Rachel learning to use the dining table, about Tommy wanting to build play forts. Understand that a home isn't just shelter. I tell him it's a foundation for everything else. Family dinners, birthday parties, homework help, holiday mornings. Take care of it, and it'll take care of you. Anna nods. We want our children to have root stability. Then you're already ahead of most people. Houses are built with wood and nails. Homes are built with intention and respect. Wednesday afternoon, Patricia. Chin calls with my quarterly investment report. Margaret, your portfolio is up 6% this quarter. Florida property appreciated another 4%. You're in excellent shape, Patricia. I want to set up an education fund for my grandchildren. How much? Are you thinking? $180,000. Split equally between Tommy and little Jamie. But Patricia, I don't want them to know about it until they're ready for college. Understood. We'll structure it as a trust fund with education-specific distribution rules.
Perfect.
And Patricia, one more thing. I want to establish a scholarship fund for kids from working families who want to learn food service skills. What kind of skills? Catering, cooking, restaurant work, baking. Real skills that feed
People.
How much funding? Let's start with $450,000.
We can grow it over time.
Saturday morning, Tommy meets me in Rachel's driveway at 8 a.m. sharp.
He's
Wearing miniature work gloves and carrying a small toolkit Rachel bought him, ready to build a play fort.
Grandma.
Margaret, ready. Buddy? But first, let me teach you something my father taught me when I was your age. What's that? Measure twice, cut once. Respect your tools, respect your materials, and respect the work. Everything else follows from there. Tommy nods seriously, like I've just shared the secrets of the universe. Maybe I have. We spend the day designing and beginning construction on what will probably be the most overplanned play fort in Orange County.
History.
Tommy learns about strong supports, proper joint construction, and the importance of using the right nail for the right job. As we work, I think about gifts to the future. Daniel thought he was inheriting a house, but houses can be transferred, sold, or torn
Down.
The real inheritance, patience, skill, respect for honest work that has to be earned through relationship. Grandma Margaret, Tommy says, carefully measuring a board. When I grow up, I want to build houses like you. Then I'll teach you everything I know, buddy. Everything. Everything. Because that's what gifts are really about. Not what you leave behind, but what you pass along. And some things are too valuable to guess anyone will just figure out on their own. If you're watching this from Granny's voice, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. And remember, never let anyone convince you that honest work isn't valuable work. The world needs builders.